Welcome back to another episode of Bobbing Along with Katie. This is Diane, and today we continue our journey in making a modern ragdoll. So this is episode 3 of the Modern Ragdoll Embroidery Design by Riley Blake, designed by Jennifer Long. And today I'm sharing with you all my way to review the pattern, get myself organized, and be ready to sit down and stitch, knowing that 9 times out of 10 I'm going to have some kind of interruption. I believe that I've developed a way, at least that helps me, keep that ball rolling. I'd like to share with you how I read the pattern, the things that I do with a pattern when I first look at it. Hopefully help you in your journey with us as well. So let me know what you think of this process, and I'm going to turn my camera around and let's just get to it. Here we are at the cutting table, and I'm going to go through my process, which I've already completed, but I'm going to walk you through step by step what I did. So using the Riley Blake design, taking out the cutting sheet, all the fabrics that they use are hidden behind this table that I made, and they have the fabric, the size piece that's needed, and they also included what that piece was going to be used for. That's really helpful. And so what I found was there were a couple things that I could categorize. One was, is the fabric cut used in sewing? Is it used in machine embroidery? Is it used in a combination of both? And when I say used in machine embroidery, that means, is it just going to go directly to the hoop, or do I need to do something with it before I bring it over to the hoop? And those are the categories that I was able to define. So as you look down the side of the sheet, all I did was I said, oh, well, this fabric on this line, the only thing that it's going to be used for is in a complete sewing at your domestic machine step. And the same with the next one. Eventually I'll just cut it down. But then I've got some that have machine embroidery / sew. And in this case, what that means is that piece of fabric is going to be used in a hoop, but first it has to be sewn with another piece of fabric. And I found 2 places where that was true, so I marked those out. Then I continued on. There's a few that just go directly to the hoop. And so what I did was I made labels. I did the fabric, I did what was happening, what grouping was it in, and then what is the item, what's the component, what are we doing there? So I made these little labels. And then what I did, let me bring my design board in. What I did with those labels was, of course, I cut them out and I grouped them. This is a representation of the labels that I need to use for just sewing only. There are actually 2 components that have fabric, and I just haven't picked that fabric out yet. I want to see what the doll looks like before I pick out the fabric. So I'm just holding those off to the side. And once the doll is complete, then I will see what it looks like to have different fabrics. I printed the entire pattern single-sided. That way, my hope was I wouldn't have to go from one page to another for a hoop. And that's very key to me because I plan my embroidery time sometimes around the hoop and the number of hoops that I have to do and the order that I do them in. And so here you'll see I have hoop number 1 and all of the fabrics. I have hoop number 2 and I put all of the fabrics that were in those steps. Hoop number 3, all of the fabrics in those steps. Notice I have these groupings that do not have, they're not associated with a particular hoop because I need to sew them first. So I'm going to sew these together and sew those together as the directions tell me to prior to that step. And since I want to do all my sewing like that beforehand, I'm going to go to those steps. I'll mark them done when I'm done and put those on the hoop pages. So this is how I like to get myself organized. And the other thing that I do is I make sure that for each hooping I have the stabilizer and any other items they should call for interfacing or anything like that, then I've got that. The next thing I do is I line my threads up based on the hoop. And so that's I didn't bring my threads out here, but that is the next thing that I do. So when I'm ready, I'm going to have hoop, threads, hoop, threads, hoop, threads, and I will be all set. This design board will come with me to the machine, and I'll be ready to go. So that's a little bit about how I get organized. I hope you found this helpful. Again, if you're ordering your USB from me, please feel free to just say, oh, I think I'd like to try your labels. That would be great. The other thing is I do have a Zoom on the second Wednesday of each month. It's called Bobbin' Along, and you can get to it by going to the calendar at www.katiecorners.com and clicking on the calendar page, looking at the month, and just clicking on the Bobbin' Along. Inside that, you can either sign up for a class, which those classes are free, but if you sign up, it'll send you a reminder. You don't have to sign up, but if you do, it'll kind of let me know how many people are there in the class and that there are people who are interested in that particular class. Or you can just show up just by clicking on the Zoom. Set yourself a reminder and just join us sometime. That's a time when you can ask any questions, and it doesn't have to be about the project that we have going on. Everyone is very free to join us and ask any question that you might have around machine embroidery. The next time we get together, we'll be at the sewing machine. Happy stitching, and may your bobbins always be full.